Good morning, grade 8s. Welcome to the third lesson. We're still busy with factors of production. Today we're going to focus on page 93 to 96 and we'll focus on entrepreneurship and natural resources. Natural resources will take most of the time, so please watch carefully. Take out your workbooks now, make notes. Please pause the video so that you can make your notes and you can go back if you missed something, and please make sure that you understand it. If you don't, please use this time now in this period to ask me any questions you have. Okay, let's get into this. So what is natural resources? So natural resources, it includes all things that come from the earth. It doesn't have anything to do with humans or human actions. And this includes things like the magnetic force, attraction, electrical properties. These are all laws. I mean, gravity is there. It's not due to any of our actions, but it's still there. There's magnetic forces, electrical properties, all of that is part of natural resources. As you can see in the illustrations below. So, but if the things that we physically can see and use, so that is your sunlight, atmosphere, water, it can be soil, trees, plants, iron ore, coal, oil, fish, oxygen, hydrogen, vegetation, wildlife, etc. Okay, so these are all natural resources that we can make use of in our country or in the world, all located in everything is not just condensed in one place, and that makes it quite interesting when you want a specific product but you can't find it, and that's where importing and exporting becomes interesting. So let's look at the characteristics of natural resources. So when you think of trees, what do you think? Or plants in general? We know they give us oxygen. We know we can use it for wood. If we want to burn it, we can chop it down and make something from it, art or craft. We can make tables, furniture, build houses, etc., etc. But the biggest thing about trees is once we've used it, we can replace it by planting another tree. So we've got the influence on this one. But one influence, or for example, that we can't renew is the extraction of coal, because that is coal is formed by pressure over a long period of time. So we can't put coal back into the earth, for example, as quickly as a tree would grow. So we stand a chance of depleting that natural resource. Then we have to, and that is one of the reasons why we have to look at renewable energy, especially for the future. Now in this image you'll see wind energy, sun energy, that's solar panels, biodegradable energy, and water or hydro energy. And that are things that we need to understand and try and implement in a business to try and find alternative sources of energy to power a business and not use all our natural resources. That's one of the ethical business practices that you should understand. If going forward, if you want to start a business, is to understand that you need to implement ethical and efficient and sufficient uses of your natural resources, and not to complete or use everything for yourself. Okay, another thing is some natural resources you need processing, so you can't just take gold, extract it, and then put it on a lady's finger. You need to, there's some processing, as you can see in this image. Water, let's say there's fruit going in, it goes in, it gets sorted, cleaned, and then packaged before it goes out to the consumer. In this case it's milk or cheese. So it goes through specific processing. You can't just give it as it comes out of the earth. Some other, like vegetables, you can just supply it as is. Some vegetables even come still with, they didn't even rinse the ground from it. And lastly, as I said earlier, it is found all over the world. Now in this instance you'll see that there's different resources, and this resource is a world shale gas map. So this shows you where there are some resources of the shale gas. So it's not everywhere, and we need to use it wisely in our country. So I want you to pause here. I want you to make a list of all the natural resources that you can think of. So take 2 minutes, pause quickly, and when you're done, you can continue watching this video. Okay, so I trust that you've paused it. Let's look at the different natural resources. So, as you can see, let's try this again. There's fish. South Africa got a big fish line, or fish from a large coastline. We've got freshwater, we've got saltwater resources, forestry or plantations, specifically in the Eastern Cape, Stadtruim area. There's big plantations, or down the Garden route as well. Grapes, that is, or fruit, vegetables. That's found all over, but different types. For example, your grapes will be in the Western Cape a lot more prominent than in any other part of the country, and that's also where our main focus is on wine production and exports. Okay, then there's sugarcane, for example. Then we get to the minerals, gold, diamonds, and platinum. As you can see, the difference between gold and platinum. Platinum is your white gold, the third picture. Okay, I trust you've got that, but your list can look a bit different than mine, as long as it included some of these. Okay, now also explain the following terms in your workbook. What does the term interest mean to you? What does rent mean to you? What does profit, salary, and wages mean to you? And we're going to explore that a bit later, but I quickly want you to make your own definition now. So pause the video and make your complete the definitions. Okay. Also want you to do, after you've made your definitions, want you to complete activity 3 on page 93, and there it asks you to give an example of where you'll find specific resources, or this is just an example of how to answer that activity. So please complete activity 1, page 93. Now, let's look at entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? Hopefully that is why you have the subject. You want to start a business, and in order to start a business, you need to be creative. So entrepreneur is a person that's creative, that's willing to take a risk, and it will make a product or render a service in order to receive some sort of income or remuneration from that. So this person has a few abilities. He will be able to combine factors of production. Now that is natural resources, capital, and labor, because he's the entrepreneur. He's the fourth factor of production, in a correct mix, and he will then use that to provide goods or services. So he'll make sure that he's got the right amount of people, and he will make sure that he's got the right machinery, and he'll make sure that he's got the right natural resources. For example, he will make fruit juice, so he'll buy different kinds of fruit, compress it in the right way with the right recipe, and then sell it to the right customers. Okay, that is his ability. Okay, he will take a risk of starting and managing a business. That is a big one. If you're not willing to take a risk, you will not make any money or profit. Okay, and then to summarize, so he can use the factors effectively to provide goods and services. So what is his remuneration? What is his payment for all of his effort? The answer is clearly profit. If you start a business, you own the business, then the profit that that business makes belongs to you as the owner. That is you, because there's no salary for a business owner. You are entitled to the profit. So what is profit? Profit is the money that the business makes from selling goods or services that it provides to the consumers. You can see a business owner very excited about his profit. He rendered a service, consumers bought it, and that made him very rich and successful. Okay, just want to explain this quickly to you. So you'll see this, you'll do this more in detail in grade 9, but just so that it's not entirely new. If you start at the right, firms will want to produce a goods or service to households as they want to receive some sort of income. And they do that because there's basically a need or a want for it. They see there's a gap in the market. So let's take the example of fruit juice again. So a firm will buy grapes in this instance as a factor of production. They'll buy it from a farm owner, and that can be a household or a different firm, but they'll buy the factors of production, the resources from someone. They will then produce it, transform it, process it into a finished good and service, which they will then sell to the households. So who's the households? That is your consumers. They can go to Checkers, Spar, it can be direct, it can be over WhatsApp or Facebook. Doesn't matter what media it is, but if you buy something, you're a consumer. It means you consume a product. Now a consumer is, or the person in the household, he doesn't necessarily just have money that's lying around for doing nothing. He's got to go and work. All of your parents work for money. Okay, so one of the things is they might work for other businesses which will pay them, if you can see there at the top, wages, rents or dividends. But they will render their factor of production, which is labor, to the firms, which then the firms will pay them a lot of money for, and then the households will have money which they'll be able to pay for the fruit juice, which will then lead to the business making profit, which will lead to the entrepreneur making a profit. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so you take time to complete activity 2, page 94 in your workbook. Okay, now let's look at the other remuneration of factors of production. So households, when they provide labor, that is the factor of production that they provide. In the last table you saw that. What is the remuneration? What does your parents get for the work that they render to the companies? They are paid salaries or wages. You need to understand the difference. What is a salary? What is a wage? Salaries are a form of monthly income. Wages are a form of weekly income, okay, or a daily. Capital. So let's say you take your capital, you want to go to a bank. You invest your money in a bank, and the bank says, thank you very much, we'll use your money to make more money, and after a year or a specific time frame, we'll pay back your money plus some interest. So that means you've made money without doing anything. That is interest. So if you borrow money from a bank as well, you will also pay them more, and that amount that you pay in extra is also called interest. So the remuneration for capital is called interest. Natural resources. If you own land, right? Let's say you own land, then if someone wants to use it and to use it to produce, for example, vegetables, then they'll pay you rent. Okay, so that's why natural resources, the remuneration is rent. And the last one, we discussed that what is the entrepreneur's remuneration, that is profit. Okay, so can you define these terms that you defined earlier? Is it now easier? Make sure you correct your definitions. Okay, then on page 95, you are required to make a mind map on the remuneration of factors of production. Okay, so in the middle, so I want you to take point, it's bullet point number, or not bullet point, it's point number 8, remuneration of factors of production. You'll put that in the middle where you see mind map guidelines. And then you'll have 4 arrows or 4 lines that will go to different corner, and in each corner you'll have factor of production for labor on the left and top left. Top right will be entrepreneurship, top or bottom right can be capital, and bottom left can be labor or natural resources. Can't remember what was the top one. And then you explain it, and then you just say what it is and what's the remuneration, as you see in this mind map. Okay, that concludes the lesson. I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, please ask now.